Welcome to Story-Driven English, where captivating stories meet language learning. Imagine paying $38,000 for a handbag that costs just $1,400 to make. What if everything you believed about luxury brands was built on carefully crafted illusions? Today's story, The Price Tag War, takes you behind the glamorous facade of the fashion world, where a journalist's investigation uncovers a global battle between Western luxury brands and Chinese manufacturers that's playing out on TikTok screens worldwide. This isn't just any story, it's a journey into the shadows of international trade wars, the psychology of luxury, and the power of social media to disrupt billion-dollar industries overnight. Did you know that learning English through compelling stories improves your vocabulary retention by up to 70% compared to traditional methods? Our brains are wired to remember narratives, making story-based learning the most natural way to master a new language. That's exactly why we created Story-Driven English, to transform your language learning journey from boring vocabulary lists into fascinating explorations of contemporary topics that you'll actually remember. If this is your first time here, hit that subscribe button right now to join our community of over 100,000 smart language learners who understand that the best way to master English is through engaging, real-world content. When you subscribe, you'll get weekly stories carefully crafted to improve your listening comprehension, expand your vocabulary, and boost your confidence in English, all while keeping you informed about fascinating topics from around the globe. Now, let's dive into today's story about Sophia Adams, a fashion journalist who's about to discover that the world of luxury brands isn't what it seems. The Price Tag War. In the bustling heart of Manhattan, Sophia Adams sipped her morning espresso while scrolling through her TikTok feed, a daily ritual before heading to her office at Style Insights magazine. At 32, she had climbed the ranks to become one of New York's most respected fashion journalists, known for uncovering the hidden stories behind glamorous facades. This particular Tuesday in April, however, her carefully cultivated morning routine was disrupted by a video that made her nearly drop her phone into her avocado toast. A middle-aged Chinese man stood in what appeared to be a factory warehouse, surrounded by rows of elegant handbags that looked remarkably similar to Hermès Birkins, those coveted accessories that typically commanded waiting lists and prices upwards of $30,000. "You see this bag?" the man said in lightly accented English, holding up a caramel-colored tote with impeccable stitching. "In your luxury stores, $38,000. Our production cost? Only $1,400. He smiled knowingly at the camera. Same materials, same craftsmanship. The difference? Just a small logo and a very big markup. Sophia's journalistic instincts immediately kicked in. She checked the comments. Thousands of shocked reactions, shares, and debates about authenticity. The video had amassed over 7 million views in just 2 days. More importantly, it wasn't alone. Her algorithmic feed quickly served up dozens of similar videos. Chinese factory workers and managers showcasing luxury-adjacent products while breaking down their true production costs. A woman demonstrating how $98 Lululemon leggings cost merely $6 to produce. A leather craftsman revealing that $2,000 Louis Vuitton bags required just $200 in materials and labor. Each video included contact information for direct purchases, promising factory direct pricing, and identical quality without the brand tax. By the time Sophia reached her sleek office overlooking Madison Avenue, she had already emailed her editor-in-chief, Marcus Winters. "I need to investigate this trade war TikTok phenomenon," she wrote. It could be our biggest story of the year. Marcus's response was immediate. Intriguing. But be careful. This intersects fashion, international trade, and political tensions. Tread thoughtfully. You have 3 weeks. Sophia smiled. Complex, multi-layered stories were her specialty. She immediately began mapping out her approach, creating a document titled The Price Tag War. Her first call was to Wei Zhang, a former classmate from Columbia Journalism School who now worked as a supply chain consultant for luxury brands. They met that evening at a quiet dumpling restaurant in Chinatown, away from the fashion industry's prying eyes. These videos are exploding, Sophia said after they'd ordered. Are they legitimate? Are luxury houses really outsourcing to China and marking up products by 2,000%? Wei carefully folded a dumpling before responding. It's not black and white, Sophia. Yes, luxury goods have significant markups. That's no industry secret. But these specific claims? Many are misleading. How so? Sophia asked, recording with Wei's permission. First, consider the business relationships. Any legitimate manufacturer working with LVMH, Kering, or Hermès signs extensive non-disclosure agreements. Revealing production details on TikTok would mean instantly losing multimillion-dollar contracts and facing devastating lawsuits. These major luxury groups are extremely protective of their supply chains. Wei continued, second, while many luxury brands do source materials or components globally, including from China, the highest-end products, especially from heritage brands like Hermès, genuinely do maintain European production for their flagship items. A Birkin requires 18 to 25 hours of handcraft by trained artisans in France. The craftsmanship is real. Then who are these TikTok creators? Sophia pressed. Some might be manufacturers of what we call gray market goods, unauthorized production using similar materials. Others produce high-quality replicas or counterfeits. And yes, some might even be legitimate manufacturers of components or entry-level products for luxury brands, but they're exaggerating their connections. Wei lowered her voice. What's most interesting is the timing. Why is this emerging now? These videos consistently mention American tariffs and trade policies. There's a political dimension you shouldn't ignore. Sophia nodded, jotting notes. This isn't just about handbags, is it? It never is, Wei smiled wryly. Fashion is always political. The next morning, Sophia contacted Dr. Eleanor Frost, a professor of international economic relations at NYU. They met in the professor's book-lined office, where a wall of monitors displayed global market data. These viral videos emerged precisely as U.S.-China trade tensions escalated, Dr. Frost explained, pushing her silver-rimmed glasses higher on her nose. President Trump's administration raised tariffs to 145% on certain Chinese imports. Beijing responded with counter-tariffs up to 125%. This digital phenomenon is another battlefield in this economic conflict. So it's state-sponsored? Sophia asked. Not necessarily directly, but certainly aligned with strategic interests. These videos accomplish several objectives. They create direct-to-consumer channels that bypass tariffs, they undermine confidence in Western luxury markets, and they shape public opinion about trade policies. It's quite sophisticated. Dr. Frost pulled up a chart showing spikes in downloads of Chinese shopping apps like Dgate and Taobao, which had recently climbed to the top 10 most downloaded apps in America. Consumer behavior is already shifting. Americans are increasingly ordering directly from Chinese suppliers. The de minimis exemption, which waives tariffs on packages valued under $800, is set to expire next month. There's a rush to establish these purchasing channels before that happens. As Sophia left the university, she received a message request on Instagram. Someone calling himself Michael Lee claimed to be a former production manager at a factory in Guangzhou that produced goods for several European luxury brands. He offered to speak with her confidentially. After careful vetting through industry contacts, Sophia arranged a secure video call. Michael appeared on screen from what looked like an apartment, his face partially in shadow. "I managed production for 7 years, overseeing items for several luxury houses," he began cautiously. "The truth is nuanced. Yes, some luxury goods have components made in China, hardware, certain textiles, even some preliminary assembly. But for prestige brands, final production, quality control, and finishing typically happen in Europe." The videos claim they're selling identical products, Sophia noted. Michael smiled slightly. "What they're selling are what we call mirror products or sometimes first copy goods. They might use similar materials, sometimes even similar techniques, but they're not identical. The differences might be subtle: the weight of hardware, the precision of stitching, the edge treatment of leather, but they exist." "So consumers aren't getting the same quality?" Sophia asked. "Sometimes the quality is quite good. Perhaps 80 to 90% there. But never identical. And never with the same quality control. At luxury houses, items that show even minor flaws are rejected. These alternative producers don't discard imperfect pieces. They sell them at reduced prices." Michael hesitated before adding, "There's another aspect: ethical production. Legitimate luxury manufacturers, despite their flaws, generally maintain certain labor and environmental standards. These are often absent in unauthorized production." Over the next week, Sophia methodically built her investigation. She contacted the luxury brands themselves, receiving carefully worded statements denying Chinese production for their premier lines and emphasizing their European craftsmanship. A Hermès representative explained their Birkin production involved artisans who trained for years, with each bag requiring up to 40 hours of handcraft. They emphasized their Origin France Guarantee certification, which ensured domestic production under strict guidelines. Sophia then turned to consumers. She posted on various social media platforms seeking people who had purchased directly from these supposed manufacturers. After filtering through hundreds of responses, she selected 12 individuals for in-depth interviews. Jessica from Chicago had purchased what was advertised as identical to Lululemon Align leggings for $18. "They looked perfect in photos," she told Sophia. "When they arrived, they seemed similar, but after 2 washes, the fabric started pilling. Real Aligns I've owned lasted years without pilling." Brandon from Portland ordered a wallet advertised as same as designer quality for $75 instead of $750. "The leather smelled strange," he admitted. "And the stitching came loose within weeks. It looked good in photos though." Interestingly, 3 purchasers reported complete satisfaction. Maya, a marketing executive from Los Angeles, showed Sophia her $350 bag that strongly resembled a $3,500 designer tote. "I've carried it daily for 6 months with no issues," Maya insisted. "My colleague has the authentic version, and honestly, I can't tell the difference. Neither can anyone else." To bring expert analysis to these consumer experiences, Sophia visited the International Authentication Institute in Manhattan, where Director Daniel Parker examined luxury goods for authenticity. In his state-of-the-art lab, Daniel demonstrated how he identified counterfeits using specialized equipment: microscopes that examined stitching patterns, spectroscopy devices that analyzed leather composition, and scales that measured the precise weight of hardware components. The top-tier counterfeits, what we call super fakes, can fool most consumers and even some casual retail staff, Daniel explained. But they always have tells. Maybe the interior fabric has a slightly different weave, or the hardware has microscopic casting marks that authentic pieces wouldn't have. What about claims that these aren't counterfeits but the actual same products? Sophia asked. "Extraordinarily unlikely," Daniel said firmly. "Luxury houses maintain rigorous control over their production. Even when components come from various countries, final assembly follows strict protocols in controlled environments. The craftsmanship isn't just marketing. It's real, particularly for heritage brands like Hermès or Chanel." Daniel showed Sophia a genuine Birkin alongside what he called a very good replica. To her untrained eye, they looked nearly identical. "Look closer," he encouraged, placing both under a microscope. "See how the authentic piece has perfectly even stitching with precisely 11 stitches per inch? The replica has inconsistent spacing. Now feel the weight difference in the hardware. These details matter. They're why people pay premium prices." As her investigation deepened, Sophia noticed an interesting pattern in social media discourse. The videos had sparked intense debates about value, authenticity, and consumer psychology. Many commenters expressed righteous indignation about luxury markups, while others passionately defended craftsmanship and heritage. "I feel scammed," wrote one commenter. "We're just paying for marketing and a logo." "True luxury isn't about the price tag," countered another. "It's about tradition, quality, and artistry that lasts generations." To understand this division, Sophia consulted Dr. Rebecca Goldstein, a consumer psychologist specializing in luxury purchasing behavior. "What we're witnessing is a crisis of value perception," Dr. Goldstein explained in her warmly lit office. "Luxury goods have always operated on a complex value proposition that transcends materials and labor. People pay for craftsmanship, yes, but also for heritage, exclusivity, emotional connection, and social signaling. What happens when that narrative is challenged?" Sophia asked. "It creates cognitive dissonance. Consumers must reconcile their desire for status symbols with new information suggesting those symbols might not be what they thought. Some will double down on their belief in luxury value. Others will reject it entirely." Dr. Goldstein pulled up research on her tablet. Interestingly, studies show that even when consumers know they're purchasing a high-quality replica, the psychological satisfaction differs significantly from owning the authentic item. There's a personal knowledge that affects how we feel about our possessions. As her deadline approached, Sophia worked late into the night organizing her findings. The story was more nuanced than she initially thought. This wasn't simply about exposing inflated luxury prices, though those certainly existed. It was about global trade tensions, manufacturing realities, the psychology of luxury, and how social media could be weaponized in economic conflicts. 2 days before submission, Sophia received an encrypted email containing what appeared to be internal cost breakdowns for several luxury brands' products. The anonymous sender included manufacturing documentation that, if verified, would confirm some of the TikTok claims while refuting others. After careful verification with industry sources, Sophia incorporated these revelations into her final piece, a 5,000-word feature titled, "The Price Tag War: Inside the Battle for Luxury's Soul." The article was published on a Monday morning and immediately went viral, being picked up by international news outlets and trending across social platforms. By addressing the complexity of the issue rather than simply vilifying either side, Sophia had created a nuanced exploration that resonated with readers seeking understanding beyond the TikTok headlines. 3 weeks after publication, the story had sparked industry-wide conversations. Several luxury houses announced transparency initiatives about their production processes. Meanwhile, Chinese e-commerce platforms reported surges in international orders, even as authorities began cracking down on accounts making unauthorized claims about luxury brand connections. Marcus called Sophia into his office, grinning widely. "Your story just won the International Fashion Journalism Award." The committee called it a masterclass in investigating the intersection of fashion, economics, and digital media. Sophia smiled, but her mind was already on the follow-up story. That morning, she'd received another encrypted message, this time with documents suggesting that certain luxury conglomerates were quietly shifting more production to Southeast Asia while maintaining their European branding. The price tag war, it seemed, was evolving into a global chess match, with consumers caught in the middle, trying to determine what was authentic, what was valuable, and what stories they wanted their purchases to tell about themselves. In her apartment that evening, Sophia looked at her own designer handbag, a graduation gift she'd treasured for years. She now understood it differently, seeing beyond both the marketing mythology and the cynical dismissals. The truth, as always, resided somewhere in the complex middle. She opened her laptop and began typing the first lines of her next investigation. Beyond logos and price tags lies a more profound question. In a world where perception and reality increasingly blur, what does authentic luxury truly mean? As manufacturing becomes more global, as information flows more freely, and as consumers grow more conscious, the very concept of luxury was being redefined. And Sophia would be there to document every fascinating turn in this ongoing saga of desire, deception, and discovery. The next morning, as she sipped her espresso and scrolled through social media, Sophia noticed something new. Luxury brands were now posting their own videos showcasing their workshops and craftspeople. The trade war TikTok phenomenon had forced an unprecedented level of transparency from an industry long shrouded in mystique. Perhaps that transparency, more than any individual product or price point, was the real luxury consumers had been seeking all along. 6 months later, Sophia found herself in Milan during Fashion Week, attending an industry panel titled Transparency in Luxury: New Expectations. The conversation had shifted remarkably since her article was published. Brand representatives now spoke openly about their production processes, though still carefully emphasizing the European craftsmanship involved in final assembly. "The reality is that luxury has always been global," said Paolo Bertelli, an executive from an Italian fashion house. "Materials come from around the world. The finest leathers, metals, and textiles. But the design, the vision, and the final craftsmanship, that special touch that elevates a product to luxury status, that remains rooted in our European ateliers." After the panel, Sophia was approached by Lin Wei, a young designer from Shanghai who had recently launched her own transparent luxury brand. "Your article changed conversations in China too," Lin told her. "Many skilled craftspeople there felt validated. For decades, they've created components or even entire products for Western brands without recognition. Now they're starting their own labels, proudly identifying their Chinese craftsmanship rather than hiding behind Western branding." This perspective gave Sophia yet another dimension to explore. The trade war TikTok phenomenon wasn't just about prices and authenticity. It was also about recognition, global manufacturing hierarchies, and which craftspeople received credit and prestige. As she prepared to board her flight back to New York, Sophia reflected on how a simple viral video had sparked such profound questions about value, authenticity, and the stories we construct around the things we own. The luxury industry was evolving, perhaps more quickly than it wanted to, driven by digital transparency and shifting global dynamics. And consumers, caught between competing narratives, were becoming more sophisticated in their understanding of what they were actually paying for. Whether it was craftsmanship, heritage, design innovation, or simply the powerful psychological value of perceived exclusivity. The price tag war continued to unfold, but the battlefield had changed. It was no longer simply about exposing or defending markups, but about redefining what value meant in a globally connected, increasingly transparent world. And Sophia would continue chronicling this evolution, one story at a time. Key vocabulary, repeated throughout. 1. Luxury brands, famous, high-quality fashion companies that sell expensive products. 2. Manufacturers, companies or people who make products in factories. 3. Trade war, an economic conflict where countries impose taxes on each other's goods. 4. Tariffs, taxes placed on imported goods. 5. Viral videos, videos that quickly become popular online. 6. TikTok, a social media platform for sharing short videos. 7. Counterfeit, fake products made to look like original branded items. 8. Markup, the difference between the cost to make something and its selling price. 9. Supply chain, the network of organizations involved in creating and selling a product. 10. Craftsmanship, the skill and quality of making something by hand. 11. Authentication, the process of verifying if something is genuine. 12. Non-disclosure agreement, a legal contract preventing people from sharing secret information. 13. Gray market, trading of products through unofficial, unauthorized channels. 14. Replicas, copies of original products. 15. Consumer confidence, how secure people feel about buying products. 16. Transparency, openness and clear communication about business practices. 17. Global manufacturing, Production of goods across different countries worldwide. 18. Brand narrative. The story a company tells about its products and values. 19. Quality control. Checking products to ensure they meet standards. 20. Artisan. A skilled craftsperson who makes things by hand. If you enjoyed learning English through this engaging story, please hit the like button to help our video reach more English learners worldwide. Don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments below. What did you think about the luxury industry revelations? Have you ever purchased luxury items or their alternatives? Your comments help create a community of English learners who can practice together. Subscribe to Story-Driven English for more captivating stories that make learning English both educational and entertaining. We publish new stories every week, covering various topics from business and technology to culture and current events, all designed to improve your English comprehension while keeping you informed about the world. Hit the notification bell to never miss our upcoming stories, including next week's exploration of how artificial intelligence is transforming the workplace. Remember, the best way to master English is through consistent exposure to engaging content. At Story-Driven English, we bring you the perfect combination of entertaining narratives and practical language learning. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in our next story.